This segment of Create Your Label, I really want to respond to a letter that we received because I thought it was pertinent and something that we get asked a lot. Listen, so I'll read it. It's from a producer, Shadow Mix, and it starts out, Mario, I have an important question for you. My name is Shadow, and I'm an independent producer. And he's at www.youtube.com/shadowmix with 2 X's, SHADOWMIXX. I watched your video on licensing music to do cover songs. It was really informative. I'm quite familiar with the Harry Fox agency from years ago. Limelight is new to me, but I checked it out and I like it. I have produced a track called Appreciated, which features the vocals of the late Tupac Shakur in the first verse, and the hook from his song Dear Mama. The second verse is from an artist named Chaotic from Tennessee. It's not a cover song, but more like a tribute. If I acquire the license for the song Dear Mama, which will cost me roughly $18, can I release this song as Appreciated Chaotic featuring Tupac and not encounter any legal issues? I don't really want to sell it for profit. I would want all proceeds to go to the Amaru Foundation. It would just be nice to have the blessings of his mom, Afeni. I would also have another official remix release under my belt. Please contact me. Let me know if this is possible. Peace, Shadow. So what do you think, Vic?
Well, the question is that, number one, did he follow your instruction? And did you find anything in his response that he didn't? Did you recognize anything that didn't follow through your segment?
Well, that's the one thing they got to keep in mind, and that has to do with samples. Everything that I talked about was about doing a remake of a song. Now, here's the thing. When you do a sample, that means when you take a piece from a previous recording, you're in basically a contractual zone that they can do whatever they want to you.
That's right.
You can have no rights whatsoever. You can't legally take a piece, that's none of it. So I would suggest that you don't do it. Now, you could also contact, the people who own the records, and it wouldn't even be his mother. It would be the people who own those records.
Right.
And they're not going to be probably open to that at all. But you could try to contact them to get a sample clearance. But that's what I'm talking about. That's where the money's going to be ridiculously high for a Tupac sample.
Right.
It's just ridiculously high. And I don't think they would let you do it.
Right.
But in general, you can always try to contact the owner of the record, which is usually not the artist.
Right.
The artist, let me tell you, we've had artists on here that told us that we could play some tracks, and the label said, no, you can't.
Correct.
So the artists don't often know.
Right.
Okay?
You can still go through procedure, but if they want to make it difficult for you, they can. But we're not talking about remakes. You're talking about sampling.
Well, see, this is where it gets interesting. Because what if you did a remake of the Tupac song and you got a rapper that you know who sounded as much like Tupac as you could get,
right?
Who then sang it,
right?
And you paid and licensed that. Then you can sample your own track.
Right.
You're not using their recording.
That's correct. That's all you're really talking about, not using their recording.
You can't use their recording at all. But sometimes for a lot of things, you could do your own version of that and sample that.
Right.
And then it'll be within your licensing fee.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I was asking you.
No, you can't. So you can't use Tupac at all.
Right.
But you can license the song to cover Tupac's song.
Right.
You can license Dear Mama.
Right.
Do a version of it.
Right.
And then sample that.
Right. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's why I said I'm not saying that he didn't know what he was doing. I think what he's saying is, I want to do this. What about this? And you're saying, yeah, go for it. But is it feasible?
Oh, yeah, you still got to pay licensing,
right.
But it's different. One thing about doing a remake of a track that's already released is a statutory mechanical rate.
That's correct.
I mean, it's fixed by law.
Right.
Okay, but that's not the same for any sample. We said it over and over. We clear. You cannot sample.
Right.
And if anybody who's major, they're going to give you a hella hard time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you can think about replaying those parts yourself and to get the feel and the way the sound, sampling that to get it so you can work and trigger it.
Now, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
People use the samples because if they can get something close to how the sample is, you're talking about paying the cost to a musician or someone who can actually replay that part, right?
Or sing it. Or sing it.
So if you had to turn around, Mark, say if you want to do that, and it can be anywhere from 2, 4 bars, 16 bars, or whatever, what would you think the cost and investment at a musician's level to get that done? Seeing that a lot of people cut short because they know they can use the sample that everybody can recognize. 2, it cuts short that they don't have to go to a musician. What would you think the cost would be?
It's certainly under a couple $100.
So is it worth?
Well, here's the thing, Vic. See, a lot of times you don't want it. You want the original sample,
and because they believe that adds extra revenue credibility.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you had like say you had this sister locally who could just wail, right?
Right.
And she just sang that line for you, "Dear Mama,"
Right.
and just sang it, just blew it. And then you use that that's what I'm saying, to be creative as a producer.
Right.
See what I'm saying? In other words, you can still be creative as a producer and pay the fees to everybody for the song.
Right.
Okay. But then that be creative as a producer so you can get what you want out of it. But you can't sample.
So the bottom line you're saying is, when you're approaching a song, this is my recommendation or suggestion. You tell me if I'm wrong. You should have a budget outlay for reproducing the song or producing the song that you have and the goal in mind to it. Have 0 to X amount of dollars to spend on the value of that song rather than look at fighting it down the road. Would it be worth to say, can you get this done between $0 and $500? Not necessarily zero.
Yeah,
okay.
because but the thing is, would it be what Shadow Mix wants? Like, for example, if he went to like Stephen Kern and had Stephen Kern sequence "Dear Mama,"
right,
and he had Stephen Kern sequence anything else he needs, and then he took those sequences and mixed them down, and then cut them up.
Right.
He still has to pay fees to everybody.
Right.
Okay.
I know.
But it's a different legal issue because you're not using a sample.
Yeah, but everybody knows
you have to pay the songwriting fees.
That if you get in and somebody want to give you a hard time just on the legal end, you're talking about paying enough to secure you the value legally of getting something close. Because let me just say this, I truly believe this. It's hard for us to turn around and say the sample makes a song or the body around the sample makes a song. I think they all are in conjunction. If the strength of your song is very strong, maybe you should think of it that way, not it's all or nothing with that sample.
That's why I would try it. That's why I would do it the other way.
Right.
Which would, like I said, to get someone to play another version of the song that doesn't include a sample.
Right.
And then use that and be creative that way. It does limit you because you can't use the sample. That's the part.
Yeah.
So thank you, Shadow, for writing. Once again, I'm Mark Hemsley. This is Create Your Label. Hope you enjoyed these segments, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.
But I got this